I filed for bankruptcy. Now what? Hey everybody, it's Shamika. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos. I appreciate your support. And please hit the notification bell so that you can keep up with my current content. All right, so if you are struggling through the pandemic right now and you have decided that you want to file bankruptcy, now you probably already talked to an attorney. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been watching videos to kind of get some ideas of what's going to happen in the process. And, maybe you're feeling comfortable. Maybe you're thinking you're going to file. But you know what people never really do is they never really find out what happens after they file. So I'm going to bring it to you from a credit perspective to let you know exactly what happens. And let's see if you can keep up with me. All right. Okay. So soon as you drop your paperwork to the courthouse, you should have already taken your pre-bankruptcy online course. You should have already turned in your creditor matrix, all of the whole packet to the courts. You should be now waiting to get paperwork in the mail giving you acceptance of your paperwork, and now you're waiting for your date to, during the pandemic now, you would actually just do a call on the phone and talk to the trustee versus going to court. After your paperwork is submitted and is processed, you immediately create a file in a website called Pacer, and Pacer is it's pretty much a public record access. You have to actually request permission. You have to have a reason to have access to this system, but you create a record there, and your creditors are immediately notified that you have filed for bankruptcy. It's all done electronically. Your creditors are notified because there are companies out there that actually go and search the Pacer website daily for new bankruptcy filings, and they let creditors know that you filed so that they can immediately close your account so that you can no longer make any more purchases. Why? Because the trustee doesn't know if you're making purchases or not. They are not with you. So hopefully you have included all of your debts into your bankruptcy. If you have secured cards that are not over the limit, that you have been able to maintain with your own money, technically you're supposed to report that. But if you didn't, I just want you to know that it won't close on its own. A lot of these companies that do secure cards, it's your money. If you don't or haven't posed much of a risk to them, they more than likely will not shut your account down, believe it or not. Now, I believe there are a few like Open Sky, they'll shut you down and will give you your money back if you were in good standing when you went, because it's your money, so they're not gonna close it and then keep it or give it to the court. They're just gonna give it back to you. But there are some like American Banks and some of those First Premier companies, they actually just keep going. So technically you're not supposed to have the credit. But if you're responsible and no one happens to know, I can't tell you what to do, but I will say the good part is that at least you'll have credit to be able to rent your car or something like that. I would tell you to contact an attorney if you're unclear how it or what the rules say about a secured credit card versus it being a credit card that is unsecured, okay? So I don't want to give you any advice on that, but I'm just telling you what has happened and what I've seen, okay? So not everything does close down. Sometimes there are companies that may not close down. They haven't been notified, but when they do, they will immediately shut you down. So please don't think that you're going to escape that, because it doesn't happen, okay? Here are some of the debts that you cannot include. I know people want to know. You cannot include fines from criminal charges. You cannot include fines from traffic charges. You cannot include child support. You can include, though, and Now, mind you, you've probably already turned in your packet, but this is just for knowledge purposes because some people do not know. And if you did not know and you already turned in your packet, you can always do an amendment to add whatever new debt that you didn't think about, because a lot of times people are burdened with debt. They're all emotional and they're not thinking clearly when they're trying to dismiss the debt. So let me add a few that you may have not thought about. If you have any current contracts, so if you're locked into a maintenance contract, if you're locked into a landscaping contract or something like that, you can throw those things in. If you have an alarm contract on your home, you can throw that in. If you have a gym contract, a gym membership, and you filed bankruptcy recently and you're still within your time, you can do an amendment and add that. You can include student loans. It is very difficult to remove, but they can be added in a bankruptcy. You can include repos and evictions. You can do installment loans, collections, charge-offs. You probably already know that. You can include VA debts. There are a lot of VA debts that you can include to have removed, and VA is Veterans Administration. You can do state government debts, food stamps. If you can include IRS debts. If you owe IRS money from, I believe the tax, it has to come from your income tax returns, but they have to be 2 years or older. So you can include those debts. You can include mortgages. That's in the chapter 13, but you can include it. And even when you include that, you can always ask for a mortgage modification. You can get those payments lowered so that you're able to get on your feet. Credit card debts, you should know that. Personal loans, even if it's personal from you and I, and we did it and we didn't even write anything down, if you just don't want to be sued because you don't know if they're going to come after you and sue you, this will be a good time to add that. If you have any outstanding bank fees, a lot of times bank accounts don't show up on your credit report, but you can always go and request your bank report from Telecheck. I'm trying to think of the other one. It's like Telecheck. I'll put the links below. Don't worry. I'll just put all 3 links below. You can go and actually request to get your bank report so that if you have anything on there, you can add that as well. Okay. So those are a couple things that can be added that you may not have known. So you've got the debts in, you've talked to the trustee, you're hung up with them, you're done now. All you have to do now is turn in your post-bankruptcy certificate. What happens to your credit now? Well, by now, your credit score has probably dropped tremendously, more than 100 points, probably 120, maybe 130 points, because you filed bankruptcy. But what you'll notice is within 30 to 60 days, that is going to turn around and your score is going to increase. And why is it going to increase? It's going to increase because now all of those accounts that had a charged off balance that showed as a collection that was unpaid, they're all going to zero out. That is what I think is so awesome about bankruptcy from a credit perspective, is because bankruptcy gives you the get out of jail free card for your credit reporting, because you get to keep all those trade lines, you get to keep all that wonderful credit history that you had. You know, you don't lose any of that, but now it shows that it has a zero balance. Now, yes, that is counterbalanced by the public record that's now going to be showing that says that you filed bankruptcy. But here, think about this. Bankruptcies can be removed. So it's not something that has to be permanently etched onto your credit report forever. It is a process to remove it, but they can be removed. So the fact of knowing that you can manipulate your credit, and I'm going to keep using manipulate because it's not as negative as we think. Manipulate is really just, restructuring, really. So you can change your credit report and affect your score just by filing the bankruptcy, so it's going to drop, having those accounts turn to zero, so it's going to increase, not the whole 120 points, but it's going to increase quite a bit. And if you get the bankruptcy removed, that's going to do you even better. But then you're asking yourself, well, how do I rebuild after I have ruined my credit? Well, first of all, stop looking at bankruptcy as it ruined your credit. It actually improved your credit because it zeroed out all of your debt, which gives you an opportunity to start over. Yes, you have to work on getting the bankruptcy removed, but bankruptcy loses its effectiveness on your score after about 24 months. So if you've already had it on your score for 24 months or longer, it doesn't have any effect other than cosmetically, meaning the way it looks, it doesn't look good. But by then, if you've learned how to be responsible, your credit should have improved significantly. But let me tell you what you should do to rebuild in case you don't know. Well, number one, you need to remove the bankruptcy, okay? If you can't get it removed and you want to operate with it still being on your credit, you can. I would tell you that if you can find someone that can remove it and is good at it, then that's who you go with to get that thing removed, okay? So you want to get it removed so that you can have the opportunity to start fresh. The next thing, you cannot go back to creditors, that you put into your bankruptcy. You will be able to, but you can't go back to them immediately, okay? There are some creditors that actually will put you on the blacklist that they state that do not exist, but there are creditors with long memories like Discover, like Capital One. They have long memories, so you kind of do go on some type of list where they do not extend you credit for a period of time, and that period of time could be 2 years or longer. I've heard it's up to 7 with Discover, and that probably heavily depends on the amount that was written off. I say written off, that they didn't get paid from the Chapter 7 written off, or they had to write off because you didn't pay them in full in the Chapter 13. So depending on that amount, probably is going to depend on how long you're going to stay on that list. But I have heard it is up to 7 years. It's going to, trade lines. All right. So you can immediately add trade lines. Now, the trade lines do not mean that you're opening new credit. It doesn't even mean that you're going to go spend, because these trade lines do not have to be open-ended. They do not have to be revolving credit lines. They can be actual secured loans. And these are not going to be the kind that would cause an issue with your trustee. But again, you can always ask a bankruptcy attorney. But if you're going to go to Kickoff, for example, and you're getting a $12 loan that's for a year, and you pay $1 a month to pay it off just to have the option to rebuild your credit, I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. But there are a lot of credit builder products out there for individuals who need to rebuild after bankruptcy, and this would be one way you can also boost your scores. Again, talk to your bankruptcy attorney, but I think secured cards are awesome. Yes, you can get into debt with secured cards, which is why I think you should talk to your attorney. But if they say no, then again, go back to your credit builder things that are secured with collateral. Even if you got a, and I don't even know if they'll allow you to do it, but if you got some type of prepaid something, or maybe a credit card from your bank that they allow you to secure with money or with a CD. And if they don't allow you to do that, per the bankruptcy code, then ask them, can you do it under your business credit? Because that's a different entity. So it may or may not affect you the same on a Chapter 7 or a 13, because you're a business and it has its own separate EIN number. So you can check with a bankruptcy attorney and see what they say. You can do self-lender. You can, again, use business credit to rebuild. Business credit is a great way to rebuild your credit without even, by leaving your personal credit alone. Again, I put credit cards and I put based on bank, but it really should just be based on the bankruptcy attorney. But if the bankruptcy is over, say you've been discharged and you're in Chapter 7, now you can go haywire and get credit cards all over again. You want to be responsible though. You don't want to end up back where you were. But if you're just doing it for credit building purposes, then yes, secured cards. You don't even have to get unsecured because it doesn't matter. You only want it for the purposes of opening a trade line and reporting to get your score when you want to. Let's see. You can get a car immediately, especially if this is a Chapter 7. So once your case is dismissed, you can go and get a car. If you're in 13, you're not going to be able to do anything for 3 to 5 years. But if you're in a Chapter 7, you absolutely can go out and get a car. A lot of people ask that a lot. If you're trying to buy a home, it is a 2-year wait to buy a home and put 20% down. If you want to use a federal program, you're going to have to wait 4 years. After that, I believe it's different for the Chapter 13. Right now, I'm just speaking on the 7, so I would tell you to look that up. Actually, I'll just post it below also so that you guys can find it. So it's not really that hard or difficult to rebuild after filing bankruptcy. Remember, credit scores are just numbers and they can be manipulated by what you do or what seasonings you add to your credit report. That's really all it is. So you can bounce back and go and get things. You will not be able to go out and get the high credit limits that you want to immediately. There is some drawback, but the great part about it is that you were in debt and drowning in debt and probably emotionally suffering, but now you can look and you can obtain a 700 credit score within a year of filing bankruptcy, whether that's a 7 or a 13. A 13 is a little bit more complicated because the accounts don't always zero out. They should, but if they don't, you can always dispute that with the credit bureaus and dispute that with the companies as well. I would say that a lot of times it's easier to try to have the account removed from your credit than it is to try to dispute to get it updated. They will probably almost easily remove it because the creditor, original creditor, is not really going to fight you back on that dispute because they don't care. They didn't get their money from you anyway. But if it is an account that you're actively paying in the bankruptcy, do not try to remove that because they're in an agreement with you, and so you don't want to violate any rules, so you don't want to do that. But if it's a company that did not pursue you in the Chapter 13 or in the Chapter 7, you included them, but they never updated it to 0, you can easily just go and dispute to have it deleted from your credit report, and that would be a lot easier than it would be to try to get them to update the information. A lot of times, like I said, the company just doesn't even care. But within a year, 700 is very, very possible. Just make right decisions, open up the trade lines that you need, keep the utilization low, and of course work to remove that bankruptcy from your public record. At any time that it's removed, it is still going to drop your score, just so you guys know. And know a lot of people don't understand that, but it is going to drop your score once it's removed, but it's fine. It's going to balance itself back out because now with that bankruptcy gone, the sky's the limit. You can qualify for just about anything. So it actually pays for itself. And then once it's removed, just add another trade line and then your score is back to where it needs to be. So I hope I taught you guys something new, and hope you enjoyed the video. So again, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos. Hit the notification bell, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.